Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Look, Intel has been a brand struggling over the last couple of years, there's no doubt about that. And now we've seen the CEO announcing layoffs, restructuring, and $1.5 billion in cost reductions. Also, we've seen a massive expansion of the return to office mandate. The reality of a company like Intel right now is that they are having a hard time. This time with Intel, it's very blatant to see that, and they are very straightforward, essentially, about admitting that. So, the Intel CEO has announced a series of sweeping measures, including an unspecified number of layoffs, a company restructuring program, and the elimination of non-core products. And also an expansion of this return to office mandate. The announcement comes as the company presented its disappointing first quarter report on, a couple of days ago. Essentially, the stock saw a decline by 5%, and we know that Tan, the CEO, has been at the helm at the time of this article being written for about 5 weeks, but his core message has been about transformation of Intel's culture, and it's going to be an extended process requiring elimination of bureaucracy, which is suffocating innovation and agility that they need to win. So this one's quite straightforward, right? We know Intel is going to be laying off employees as expected, and we're going to be seeing that in the upcoming months. The adjustments could begin in quarter 2, and we'll implement them over several months. Intel said, Intel last laid off 15% of its workforce, approximately 15,000 workers in August of 2024. It's been rumoured that Intel plans to lay off 20% of its workforce in this round, and that could be around 20,000 people. Obviously, Intel is struggling financially, they're struggling with their competitive edge, and one of the first things that companies do to reduce costs is to reduce the amount of headcount that they have. So Intel's also reducing its operating expense target by $1.5 billion over the next 2 years. It intends to reduce its operating expenses to $17 billion in 2025. That's going to be a $500 million cut. And it aims for $16 billion, I should say, in 2026, which is a further $1 billion reduction. I guess, guys, at Intel, something just has to be done. We're seeing Intel's Panther Lake products essentially having a few issues seemingly. Intel's only going to launch one of these models by the end of the year. If we have a look at Intel's next processor line, it was set to be released by the end of 2035, but there'll only be one model available at first. This will be the Intel Next Hybrid architecture, focused mainly on energy efficient. This could be the first model to come out by the end of the year. So Intel's lineup is expected to launch a single Panther Lake model in 2035, quarter 4. The remaining models will come out in 2026. The delay into 2026 is believed to be due to production challenges with the 18A production node. The first configuration to release is expected to include 4 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. So we can see this is expected in quarter 4, but it seems like the majority of these are expected in 2025, right? To see them being kicked into 2026, not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's certainly not going to be good, is it? Also, we're seeing Intel suggesting that job losses in Ireland may not be inevitable, right? So we know that Intel's going to be laying off workers. The question is where? With so many layoffs and so many cost-cutting measures needing to be taken, where are they going to be cut? Well, the Minister of Enterprise, Trade and Employment said that he does not believe it will be inevitable that the layoffs will affect Intel in Ireland. Of course, at this stage, it's going to be quite difficult to say. Intel's going to have to take some drastic measures, that is for sure. The question that a lot of people have as well is, will Intel actually be able to build their Ohio plant? The CEO at the time was joined by politicians and business leaders to break ground in a ceremony for Intel's new semiconductor manufacturing site in 2022. The question is, will this actually come into case, right? The last 100 days has been very concerning, said Mike Kinsley, with the Ohio State Building and Construction Trade Council. Thousands of union workers and billions of dollars stalled. A lot of sweat equity into making sure they were ready when Intel balked. They're ready to move this. That little bit of disappointment, they just don't know in the present time if it's going to be viable or not. It's really hard to say. Intel stock is absolutely plummeting, right? Dropped more than 50% in the last year, whilst the industry has grown by more than 120%. can Intel even afford to do this? Can Intel even realistically do this? Well, one thing that we can say for sure, right, is that Intel is going to have to take some drastic measures. And we're already seeing some of those come into effect. Let me know what you think about this, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.